the question is basically, so you get all the way to the top, then everything happens, and now this Chris Tomlin, a relationship, you're still making music. What has your faith journey been, being like, hey, we got all the way to the top, all the partying and all this stuff, just like everybody's story, but they're your parents or your childhood or the faith of your youth, you're past that. But I feel like for myself, you're still like, yeah, but there's something to it.
No, yeah, no doubt, dude. I don't know. I would say that even at a young age, I had a genuine relationship with
Yeah.
Jesus. And so, regardless of my experience in church or my, y- you know, regardless of any of my circumstances, I had that foundation really early on, and I felt like it was super genuine, and I've genuinely felt. And then I lost my dad at 20, which was a huge uh, moment in my life where I literally felt like, okay, I can kind of be mad at God, and I can take two routes here. I can either be mad at God and go this way and just fall off and do whatever I need to do to numb out, or I can lean into it a little bit, right? And I really did just like choose to lean into it, and was thankful for that relationship, that kind of foundation I had built over my childhood growing up, and it's always been kind of woven into my
Yeah.
story and
It
very
sounds
much a
like.
foundation of my decision making, my process, um I guess my reason for being here. And so I do have a deep faith, to be
Yeah.
honest. And um, regardless of my relationship with church or my relationship with religion or my relationship with anything else, like my relationship with Jesus has always been there and
Yeah.
always been a cool source to go back to and um, or stay close to or whatever as the life happens. You find yourself in and out of that closeness or whatever, but it's always been a place I can go back to
Yeah.
and feel loved and feel supported and feel guidance, because it's sometimes, yeah, especially when I think about all the trials, all the challenges, whatever,
Sure.
I'd always go back to like, am I supposed to be here? Like, oh yeah, God does. I feel like still, even when it didn't make sense, like even along the years with FGL, dude, like I always thought, well, I do feel called at an earlier age, like
Yeah.
in high school / college. I was like, I do feel called to music. I feel like God has a plan for me. And it was very vague and very churchy, but at the same time, I'm like, I believe this. And then I'd
Yeah.
never thought that God would take me, that my journey would go from like, I just assumed it would have to be in church if I'm going to be playing music, right? If he's going
Right.
to
Yeah.
use me,
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah.
in church. Well, actually, nah. If he really want to get used, get out of church. And so it took me a while to figure that out and playing bars and clubs and partying and figuring out and asking the questions like, am I in the right place? Like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or am I just doing what I want to do? Or am I way off track? Because I can see how this looks and sometimes feels a little
Yeah.
off course.
Yeah.
But then ultimately it came full circle back around where, you know, those people that we were able to influence were the people that needed Jesus too. And I was able to, interweave that into our show and our story and tell them who we were in a way that wasn't churchy or that wasn't like, in a sense, telling our testimony without using the word testimony. Right. And
Right.
then, I mean, there was a moment I'll never forget where way later on in our career, like 2019, we were out with Dan and Shay and Morgan, and
Oh yeah.
it was a big tour. We were playing Atlanta, sold out, 30,000 people there. And at this time I was already good buddies with Chris. And I said, why
Oh
don't you
yeah.
come to the show? And then
Where
he
was
came
this?
out
I think I
at
remember
the big
this.
amphitheater in Atlanta.
I think I remember this. I remember
And he
this.
came
Yeah.
out, and right after Holy, we just sang a couple worship songs, bro. And I didn't know how it was
Yeah.
going to go over, but it was incredible because
Oh yeah.
the fans didn't expect it. And all of a
Forgot
sudden,
about
the
that.
spirit's in the place,
Oh
dude, and
yeah.
everybody's drunk and holding their big 40,
Oh yeah.
tall boys in the air
Yeah.
singing "How Great Is Our God," and it was a really powerful moment that
Yeah.
changed my life probably and Chris's. I remember him saying it was like one of the most epic moments he's ever experienced. So that being said, I was like,
Gosh.
okay, I see what
Yeah.
all that to say. Like, although it didn't always make sense, it
Yeah.
came back around to being like, all right, I'm gonna just keep trying to listen to where I'm supposed to
Yeah.
go and what doors are opening, even if it doesn't make sense.
Well, even if I trace that all the way back to the beginning, where there was some kind of we joke about, but the dip. You go, we can't do this. We have to do this in secret or on the ride home or that, but that's
Right.
how it all starts for all of us. It
Yeah.
goes, hey, and that we whatever you call that very innocuous kid activity, wanting to kiss a girl or wanting to, you found a Playboy or
Right.
what. It's like, it's got to be like very like,
It's
not
taboo,
secret.
right?
Yeah. Very. We got to do this on the behind the church or
Right.
or after or when none of the parents know or and then so then there's that journey all the way to the end. That's where you go. We're singing these songs and people are holding beers.
Right.
But there was probably.
Or you're going back to your Christian school and you're playing some of these hits, and people aren't judging you for it for the first time.
And you're looking around like, what? Like when we're playing "How Great Is Our God," it's the amphitheater with like both of those guys, Morgan and Dana Shea, have same background,
right?
That they all know those songs too,
Right?
And then you're looking around like, wait, is this like what? I'm sure there was been the voice of Christians from the beginning that were critical of your behavior or life. Were there?
Right. Oh,
privately or publicly?
Well, all that stuff you're saying, that's probably the biggest frustration with the church is all the shame and judgment, right? And how that drives the church. So like for me, when you think about it, you're like, any little thing, whether it's, I found a cigarette, let's go smoke the cigarette, or let's, you find a magazine or you want to throw a dip in, all the things that if I do this in church, I'm going to get looked down upon, even if it's, for whatever reason. So it is interesting where I've really been drawn to cultures that are less judgmental and less,
I would imagine most people
driven.
probably are. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I mean, honestly,
true.
Where you can be yourself and still talk about Jesus without having to, feel super judged or feel super.
Was there any? Would you ever write lyrics that early on that even though they're country lyrics, you go, that's probably a little too far, or no?
Nah, not really.
Yeah, because anything you would talk about in country.
Yeah, I mean, what are we?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it was a little weird, but on the net, it was a positive. It was a positive. You cannot be serious. On the net, it's a positive.